What's up, everybody? It's Kaz with another episode with you guys. I hope everyone's having a good Sunday. I know I'm having a good week, a good weekend. Things have been tough. Uh, things have been easy, and things have been positive around here. Um, but I wanted to come on here, and I want to say that this episode it's about being positive and how to get to that point. But this is my story, and I think talking about my story and how I got to the point where I am now. How did I get here to do these podcasts? How did I get here to be, so positive about things? And I think that comes through a lot. And the background I just want to say with this is that I went through the toughest thing in my life, which was in 2018, and it was the toughest thing for me. I lost someone that meant the world to me, that the completely world to me, and someone that I truly loved and truly cared about. I really lost that person, and to an unfortunate thing, it was their time to go, and it was a tough thing on me. And it really knocked me off my feet to the point where things just were hard. They were hard to get around. It was hard to be positive. It was hard to go on with life and do things. It kind of got me to the point where I kind of shut down on myself, and I shut down on my friends. I shut down on everyone that truly loved me and truly cared about me. I shut them down because of what I was going through. I lost an important person into my life, and to this day I still think about it. But how did I get to this point of being a positive person after that, after that situation? Because that situation is not the easiest thing in this world. Anyone that's ever lost anyone, if that's just by a natural cause or, a very tragic thing that a lot of us go through that involves depression. And it gets to people where an unfortunate situation happens, and unfortunately that happened to my friend, my partner at the time in 2018. It was her time to go, but after that it was the toughest months of my life. It was the toughest year of my life. I struggled with severe depression. I gave up on everything. I gave up on a career that I truly loved. I gave up on my passion. Like, I gave up on everything, and I just really thought that there was really no way to go on without this person. There is absolutely no way. And so, like I said, the months after it, and maybe even to a year, it was tough for me to be able to get through. But there was a time in my life where I was like, I need to be positive. And it's not that I needed to be, I wanted to be. I wanted to spread my positivity, and I wanted to actually talk about my story. And sitting here tonight on a Sunday night, it's hard to actually sit here and talk about it, because it's something that's not easy to talk about. This actually took a lot of my comfort to be able to sit down and actually tell this story. But I wanted to come on here and actually put this out as a reminder to people that if you're struggling with anything, and if that's losing a loved one or losing someone in general, that there's always that light at the end of the tunnel that is waiting for you, and that your life is going to be the best after that. And yes, it's going to be hard moving on, and it's not even moving on, it's kind of just getting to the point where you're able to go on with life and still have that attached to you. Because I still have that attachment that I suffered to me, but I'm able to cope with it. I'm able to move around with it and not have really a big issue with it, which is something that I really had a hard time with going on with life, because I would go into a direction and I would run into the same situation. It would remind me of that person. And to this day, yeah, there's still things that remind me of that situation. But I think I'm able to cope with it. I'm able to, get through it and know that at the end of the day that, yes, that's something I went through, but that cannot stop me from going on my life, because I have a life to live. All of us have a life to live. We all have lives to live. And to be your very best every day can be it can be extremely hard. And I know that for myself. It's the toughest thing to wake up in the morning and just go on with your day, because it's so hard. Because it's like, how do you go on without that person? How do you go on without a loved one? And I think it took a lot to get to the point where I am now, and I am very proud of myself of the person I am today because of that situation. And going back to any of my other talks, podcasts, or even on TikToks, it's knowing that when you go through this tough moment in your life, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel to be able to go on and do things. But it also does take a lot of courage. It takes a lot of faith in yourself to be able to do it. So those are really the main things you need, is your faith and their encouragement from others around you, because the people around you truly do care about you and they love you. I care about you, and I love you for the person that you are today. If I may not know you, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you. I truly do care about you. So I want to get into the thing of how I get where I'm at today, being positive and be able to sit down and do these podcasts. And it took a lot of a difference. I wanted to impact other people's lives that may have gone through this or are going through it right now. And it's, making that difference for yourself and realizing that you have a lot to live. If you're at my age, I'm in my 20s. So if you're at my age, you have a lot to live. You have a lot of things to do to be able to get through those things. But I want to go to the point where, how do I get to this? And it took a difference. It took me to ask certain questions. Ask me, why do I want to be a positive person and create a podcast? It took, what exactly do I want to do to be able to impact other people's lives? What do I exactly want out of this? And the third question is how do I plan it to make it happen? Those are three questions why. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain those three different ones. What is your why? When you're thinking about your why, think about the things that you're able to wake up to every day. This could be something or even someone. So, for example, a person promises a grandmother that they're going to do something for the rest of their lives, no matter what. And that means when it's their grandmother's time to come, are they going to stop doing that, or are they going to keep doing it? So that could be your why. Why do I want to keep on? Why do I want to do this? Why do I want to keep on doing that? And it's because you kept that promise to your grandmother. Number two is, what exactly do you want? And knowing the answer to this question will give our lives directions to know where to put our focus and work. And it's on the different paths. What do you exactly want to do? And my question right now is, what do I want to do with this podcast? How do I exactly want to impact people's lives with it? And so that's a good question I ask myself, is what am I actually wanting out of this podcast? And my answer is, I want to be able to impact other people's lives that may need some encouragement through their life or some help through their life. And this is actually a way for me to cope myself, is to be able to just chat, sit down, and believe that I'm like on a live and I'm talking to an audience. This is what I exactly get out of it. And three, how do I plan to make it happen? That could be my self-improvement. That could be my self-confidence. How do I plan to be able to do this podcast? and to do this podcast was actually improving myself to be positive, so I'm able to put this out here so I don't get emotional on this podcast. Self-confidence. I had to have the confidence to come on here and talk about this subject because it's a very touchy subject. Like, this is something that people probably go through every day and I have no clue about it, right? And another thing is self-love. I have to love myself to be able to come out and sit down and talk about this. I have to love myself enough to be able to talk about this, right? That means if I'm sleeping good, if I'm exercising, which I work out, and so I learned that self-love. So this self-love gives me a chance to sit down, and it motivates me to just come on here and just talk about these things. Self-love. And then time management. How do I make this a priority? How do I come on here once a week and I drop a video, if that's on TikTok, but I drop a video on here, once in a while, every week, right? How do I manage that? Time management. So I had to make this a priority. How do I make the time? Because obviously I work, right? So how do I sit down and do this video and have the motivation to do it, right? So if you go through all of those, is why? What do you exactly want? And how do you plan to, make that happen? And so I want you to put this on to yourself. If you're ever trying to do something, ask her, why are you doing it? What's the reason you want to do it? And how do you plan on making it work out, right? I know a few people on TikTok. Shout out to my friends on TikTok. It's the same thing with them. How do they go live? Or why do they want to go live? What exactly are they getting from that live? And how do they plan out to make the time to go live, right? How do you get those three things going, you're going to have a good time in your life. I'm sitting in my prime time of my life because I'm able to sit down and talk about something that I held on to so long. And to be able to sit down, let me tell you, it's a huge relief to sit down and not even just sit down and talk about this, but to spread it out and talk to people about how amazing my journey to be positive and how do I manage that? How did I get to that point? It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of faith. And it just comes down to those three things. Why do I want to be positive? What do I exactly want from being positive? And how do I plan on being positive? It comes down to those three things. And why? I would say the reason I want to do this is because I want to impact other people's lives. I want to be able to sit down and talk, and not just for others, but for me. If I sit down and I'm able to talk about this is probably the best thing I could ever do for anybody, right? And then what do I exactly get from this? I get a good response. I get people that may relate to me. And how do I plan out to make this happen? I just always have to pick a day out to be able to do it. And so if you think that you are able to do something, you are completely able to do that. If you believe that you can actually make that a priority, you can make that a priority. It's a long journey, and right now we sit in 2022. This happened in 2018, so let me say it took about a year, so 2019, maybe late 2019, early 2020 is when I actually got back on my feet and actually started focusing on myself and my health and my well-being. It does take some time, but if you really focus on it, you're going to get through it and you're going to have the best time of your life. Again, this does not mean that you're completely forgetting it. It's just you're making your life a priority so that you don't always have to be on the down level where you're not wanting to do things in life. This podcast is just more of putting the encouragement out there and giving the best motivation I can for those that maybe go through this. I appreciate everyone that sat here for, those 15 minutes. And if you reached this part of the video, I just want to say I'm very proud of you for watching this. I am very proud of you, of the person that you are today, and I'm happy you are on this journey with me. This is Journey with Kaz, and I'll see you guys on the next video.